What's good, y'all? My name is Lucas Lyons, and to say we have some things to talk about would be a little bit of an understatement, wouldn't it? Well, I got my notes here, had a video ready to go, had content produced, prepared, and things change by the day. It's one of the sort of cautions of making content for YouTube is how sort of capricious the content can be, I suppose, if you can call content capricious. But this episode, this video is strictly about racial puberty because I like to include data. I will have some links down in the descriptions below. I will have some links down below, but that's for Yvette Carnell and ToneTalks, who gives a very poignant, as always, take on what's currently happening in America regarding race. And the links will be in the description below. But because I like to include data because I'll never forget being in a room, college educated white folk, in college, talking about the war on drugs and, what was pretty, to me at least, and what is now known to be pretty clear evidence of racial discrimination and just white supremacy at its finest. Excuse me. And, just getting so many rebuttals, when, they're really, in retrospect, no rebuttals to give. And I just remember thinking, never again. And, that's why I like to include data. That's why I like to include, links, citations when I refer people to certain things or talk about racial puberty, specifically for, this is geared, the audience is for, young black people, to be prepared and armed with that intelligence. You're going through that racial puberty journey. And so, that's what that's for. But, this is going to be primarily about racial puberty because what data do you need with the recent events that has occurred, Specifically, and again, I hate to shout out Ben Shapiro, but, he's, sort of an intellectual on the conservative side, one would say. I think about people like him, very influential on YouTube to, specifically younger generations. And, I think about just arguments that they make. And, you got to look at arguments on both sides. And, I just think, like, what other, when there's Breonna Taylor getting murdered in her sleep, Ahmad Arbery, I forget the pronunciation, being literally hunted, a manhunt by white vigilantes. George Floyd, just to name the most recent three. George Floyd, I'm not sure if you heard the NPR had a pretty decent piece about it. I'm not sure if you heard the recording of him just begging, a pretty big dude begging for his mother. The last moments before his death, And, all that to say about, to the Ben Shapiro thing, but, a lot of people think like him is that happened, but the question is, do you lock your door at night? Do you lock your door at night? Because, I use Ben Shapiro as an example, again, as a sort of case study for what I find to be the case. And, generalizing on, call it generalizing, call it what you will. There's a historical precedent for this, And what, from what I see, what the general white public does, that happened, but, whatever it is. And, I think about, do you lock your door at night? Because Neely Fuller Jr., one of the most influential, if not the most influential person when it comes to my racial puberty journey and when it comes to just understanding white supremacy, his quote, if you don't understand what white supremacy is and how it functions, everything else in the world will confuse you because there's so much time, so many resources put into white supremacy that it's ubiquitous. I've talked about this in my previous episodes, whatever. But, so when it comes to, and the best analogy that I find when it comes to white supremacy was I locked my door You probably lock your door every night. Most people, I would say most people lock their door at night when they go to sleep. Why? Because their neighbor is going to come in and murder them or steal their TV. Or I don't know why I put that one above the other. I don't know. But because something bad will happen, their neighbor will come in and do something evil or disastrous or tragic or what have you. Maybe, possibly, who knows? If not their neighbor, maybe someone across town, maybe someone from another state, maybe an escape con. Who knows, right? But you do lock your door at night. You lock your car door at night, right? Excuse me. You lock your car door at night, right? You lock your door. How do you know who's going to rob? Who's going to steal from your car, your home, come in and harass you or accost you or offend you? There's no list of people out there, But when it comes to black people, there used to be a list. Because racism used to be chic, used to be fashionable, but now, people have to hide their racism. And Yvette, again, check the links below. I think Yvette Carnell mentioned something that Van Jones had tweeted. I have my own problems with Van Jones, but a Martin Luther King Jr. quote about, a lot of white people, again, historical precedent, most white people would prefer racial tolerance over racial justice. What does that mean? That means, and this is why I lock my door at night, and I'm sure you do too, because most white people don't believe in racial justice. Racial justice, I mean, again, click the links below, ADOS, reparations, to pay, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, how, psychologically and, again, the resources, how it does well for America as a whole, to be like, yes, black people, ADOS, need these reparations and a generational reparations in this form. We're going to sign off on it the same way there was a $2-3 trillion stimulus bill. Let's understand that. The same way we're getting imaginative with that. Understand, black people, this is what it is, So, most white people that I have encountered throughout my life and how racism and white supremacy functions in my life and what I have seen my racial puberty journey sharing with you on YouTube, that's not the case, It'll be interesting to see when the dust settles. I see a lot of these, black fists, profile pictures and whatnot. How many of y'all are going to come out and vote for and express the need for reparations for ADOS? How many of you will understand that nuance of race? How many of you will have the racial stamina to understand exactly what you're getting into? Because, there's a nice photo opportunity to be out there marching, doing what you got to do. And, there's a lot and again, I had separate notes. I had different things to talk about for this episode. But, with everything happening in the world, in America specifically, it was... What is this? I hope that wasn't there. What was that? I hope that wasn't there too long and distracting. Sorry about that. But, what else is there to say? And then I didn't even mention Christopher Cooper, bird watching, and Karen, as quickly as she went from sir to, I'm going to tell him you're an African American. I mean, this is why we have to talk about racial puberty. This is why there's a need for this. And this is why I lock my door at night, because I suspect every white person that I know, and this is, we all live with contradictions in our life. And I'll talk about this. I'm not sure if you should know what that means. There are certain contradictions. Two truths can live at once. And, And this is one of the hardest things that I've had to come to terms with, is that all white people that I meet are suspected white supremacists. How could you not be? I remember one time, most of my life, fawning over the resources and the material benefits that came from white supremacy. You understand? Subscribing to this. So if you are white and you can subscribe to that, you know what I mean? Because I couldn't, you know what I mean? Even though it's like psychologically this is something that I wanted to do, how could you not? And this is why I lock my door, and this is why I feel like, again, Neely Fuller Jr., look him up. He actually has some literature out there that he's written. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing got some of her ideas and concepts from him as well. He's not a doctor. Somebody should write a biography on the man. It's very interesting. He has a lot of... I have to do some more research on him. Very interesting, sort of... I don't want to say mystical, but very mysterious. But anyway, forgot where I was. But this is why I lock my door at night, because how could you, who knows what you're capable of? Who knows what white people go back and say to their friends, their family? You know what I mean? As much as you want to have as your profile picture, and going back to that Van Jones Martin Luther King Jr. quote about how, you got to be more careful of the racist liberal than the racist, sort of conservative who'll tell you to your face, nigga this, nigga that. Because you know where they stand. But when it comes to, white liberals, the ones with the Obama button or the Hillary button, you got to be really careful, because the amount of I'm actually reading this book right now, Racial Matters by Kenneth O'Reilly. Definitely recommend it. It's the counterintelligence in the Black community is unreal. On what scale have we seen that have we seen like that in the modern world on their own citizens? I'm very curious to know. But yeah, interesting read. But that's the thing. Like, living in this country, every day, again, going back to Nellie Fuller Jr., every day when I step foot outside of bed, you got to be ready for World War III. LeBron said, and this is why I mentioned Ben Shapiro. LeBron said, you're gonna be hunted, and Ben Shapiro laughs and jests. LeBron is a millionaire basketball player. Please, and sure, there's some truth to that, because LeBron is indeed a millionaire, is a basketball player. But for you as a white man to sort of laugh at this black man, saying that you always have to be on your defense, when literally that is the case, that is how you have to feel. I'm telling you this as sort of the median average black man. I'm telling you this. You always have to have defenses up, and again, this is why I created this channel, I don't want, younger generations coming after me to sort of feel and have to go through what I went through when that comes to that psychological burden. But hopefully get this video under 15 minutes. That's why I'm proud to work for KIP New York City, KIP Infinity, and with my colleagues. I actually have a little advisory group. We're going to write some letters to our state representatives, our local representatives, to let them know, you got to make a bigger show of this. This is not acceptable against black bodies, against ADOS bodies specifically. And, I'm glad to, be on this journey and have this channel and be able to talk about racial puberty and this racial journey. And, so there's, there's that. There's a lot on the, so, it's been a while since I posted, but there's a lot on the education side to mention about KIP. I should mention before, I'm a learning specialist. That's what I do. This is what I do on the side, but there's a lot going on. I got a lot to prepare for. A lot of intellectual prep is what they call it. And so, it's my 8th year, going into my 8th year teaching. I'm just proud to be in the education sector, because that is one of the major people activities, economics, education, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war. So I'm just, proud to be on that front, to be able to, change my world and my place within it, as they say. So, but yeah, so that's why I lock my door. Do you lock your door at night? I'm sure most black people lock their door at night. The only time you don't lock your door at night is probably when you're in communities that that you cherish, that you love. I've been in some communities sometimes, staying over with my white friends, or, where they don't lock their doors. And that's because, you know your neighbors, people around you, and you consider that analogy, Do you lock your door at night? And this is what we're seeing, and just the sort of to borrow from the bonfire of the vanities, to the pot boiling over, to quote Tom Wolfe. or I forget who that representative is. Bonfire of the Vanities, very good book. Shout out to Eddie, but very good book. You know, that sort of boiling over in America. That happens every once in a while, you know? We're seeing that now. And, you know, we just got to be very careful. To my young, you know, brothers and sisters out there who are in the streets, using their bodies to take a stand, be careful out there, you know? Who knows, you know, the value certain people think are black bodies. You got to be careful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Many blessings. Glad to be here with you, and be safe until next time.